Luigi Mangione will be on a very famous cell block at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn. It's the place where all the famous people go and infamous people go. In fact, Diddy is there right now. And Luigi Mangione is going to be moving from one of those windows right there, he's in solitary, into 4 North with Diddy. I wonder what they'll talk about. I wonder if they'll chow together. I wonder if they'll play cards or what they'll do. But one thing that's really fascinating is to hear about what the inmates get to do over Christmas and what they get to eat over Christmas, and then how it just reverts back to same old after Christmas. I have a whole rundown of the special treats and then the things they can't do and the things they can't have from 2 guys who spent a lot of time there and are good friends with each other. First, though, I want to start here with the recent arrival to the world of infamy, Luigi Mangione, who tonight is really getting used to his new name, prisoner number 52503-511 in the Federal Bureau of Prisons. Spending his first Christmas, maybe all the rest, Christmases, I don't know, behind bars. This is all new. For now, he is locked up in the equally infamous Metropolitan Detention Center, aka MDC Brooklyn. That's what they call it, MDC Brooklyn. He got there last Thursday when federal prosecutors entered the case and charged him with stalking and murdering Brian Thompson, the CEO of United Healthcare. I told you that was the feds. They jumped in because Luigi had already been charged with murder by the state of New York. But when the feds came into the case, they whisked him off to their famous jail in Brooklyn. And so tonight it's likely that Luigi is looking at the 4 walls surrounding him in disbelief. Solitary confinement, which means a 9 by 7 foot cell. Soon enough, though, he'll be moved and he'll meet his new neighbors, who are also famous and infamous because he's headed to Unit 4 North. And if 4 North is familiar, it should be familiar. This is the same unit where P. Diddy is being held and where Sam Bankman-Fried spent months. It is a 15-person barracks-style holding area for prisoners who need some special protection, a.k.a. the famous and the targeted. But today, Luigi got to stretch his legs a little bit when he was taken on a field trip. It was a court hearing to officially arraign him on those state charges, including murder and terrorism. I always love watching this. It's like this, everybody has the slowest walk, right? Like, nobody walks down a hall like that. You just don't. You normally clip along, but when you're doing a perp walk, partly the reason was because Luigi can't walk that fast. You can see his hands down shackled to his belly, but his legs are shackled too. So he'd have to do the really like, if he wanted to move fast. So they kind of move at his pace. But it's always like this funeral march, right? When you see that kind of perp walk. The question I have is, what's he thinking when he's looking at all these cameras? He's looking ahead to all these cameras. There's like dozens of them, right? Is he thinking, keep your head straight, try not to look at anyone in particular? I mean, what's going through your mind? I have the perfect guest later, in a minute, who's going to tell me, because he's done that walk before. So here you go. This hearing was televised, which, by the way, super unusual in a New York courtroom. Mangione walked into court wearing that burgundy sweater over a white-collared shirt. Weirdly enough, it was like the Bobbsey twins. He was matching his female attorney. I don't get it either. So during the appearance, he pleaded not guilty to the charges that he's facing, and they're serious. There's no death penalty in New York, but it's murder, right? That lawyer there, Karen Agnifilo, had a few complaints, legitimate, how Mangione, her client, has been treated by law enforcement, and in particular, New York's mayor, Eric Adams. And yes, we knew that you would ask, so we put together a highlight reel for you. You're welcome.
What? Charging with the crime of murder in the first degree and other related charges. How do you plead to this indictment, sir? Guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty. He's a young man, and he is being treated like a human ping pong ball between two warring jurisdictions here. These federal and state prosecutors are coordinating with one another, but at the expense of him. They have conflicting theories in their indictments, and they are literally treating him like he is like some sort of political fodder, like some sort of spectacle. He was on display for everyone to see in the biggest staged perp walk I've ever seen in my career. It was absolutely unnecessary. He's been cooperative with law enforcement. He had been in custody for over a week. He waived extradition. He was cooperative at all accounts. There was no reason for the NYPD and everybody to have these big assault rifles that, frankly, I had no idea it was in their arsenal. And to have all of these, the press there, the media there, it was like perfectly choreographed. And what was the New York City mayor doing at this press conference, Your Honor? That just made it utterly political. And as Your Honor knows, under Lauro v. Charles, the Court of Appeals for the Second Circuit has held it to be clearly established that these staged perp walks to the media, unrelated to a legitimate law enforcement objective, is unconstitutional. And I submit there was zero law enforcement objective to do that sort of perp walk. There's absolutely no need for that whatsoever. And frankly, Your Honor, the mayor should know more than anyone of the presumption of innocence that he too is afforded when dealing with his own issues. And frankly, I submit that he was just trying to detract from those issues by making a spectacle of Mr. Mangione.
The discovery in this case is voluminous, to say the least. I have never seen a case with such volume of evidence, aside from the issue of the quality of the evidence. And I suggest to counsel, because we have a discovery portal, but given how much evidence there is against this defendant, it would be smarter if counsel could provide us with a 2 terabyte external drive rather than rely on the crashing of the portal.
Okay, a couple of things there. Did you see there were 4 court officers around him? That is some security. 4. The other thing is, I've been leafing through my Constitution all day. I did not see anything in the Constitution that you're not allowed to do a perp walk. So I love Karen Agnifilo, but I just don't know how it's unconstitutional. She may be able to prove me wrong. I invite her on the show. And then the other thing is that when she said that he's been cooperative, dude, did you see that, like, super rough trip into the Pennsylvania jail court appearance? He was banging his way in there. It took a whole bunch of officers to just get him inside. That's not super cooperative. So, just for the record. Anyway, courtroom was full today. Mangione's family was not in it, but there was no shortage of fans who showed up for him, and yes, they were mostly female. About 24 groupies were there at the courthouse. And even though several of them had face masks, it was obvious they were emotional. Turns out Luigi's been showered by love and support all during the 10 days he was locked up in Pennsylvania. I have the numbers for you. Are you ready? Hope you're sitting down and get a whiskey. Before being extradited to New York, he received more than 140 messages, and that number includes 54 emails, 87 physical letters. He also got, and this is where you'll need the whiskey, 163 money deposits into his commissary account. That's cash that allows him to buy snacks and other items, you know, just free money. And according to the Bureau of Prisons, when he's moved to New York, that money travels with him into his brand new account at the MDC. So he may make some friends. His next court appearance is going to be on Feb 21. Mark your calendar. And then I knew you were going to ask, so bail. This is weird. The New York State judge set Mangione's bond today at just $1 measly. So why isn't he already out at the club? It is a ceremonial bond at best because Luigi Mangione is already locked up on the federal charges in a federal jail, and there is no federal bail offered by the government. So he is not going anywhere. Least of all the club. And since he's going to be at that federal jail in Brooklyn for a little while, we decided to take a look into what he's going to be expecting throughout the holidays. People magazine got a copy of the holiday menu. at the MDC, so we're going to share. On Christmas Eve, the inmates get fruit, cereal, pastries, and milk. That's the breakfast on Christmas Eve day. Chicken or chickpea burger, along with rice and beans and fruit, and that is lunch. And then for dinner, it is turkey, sweet potato, and mixed vegetables. Let's move to the Christmas Day menu because it's better. Kind of looks like this. It's sort of the same for the breakfast as the Christmas Eve one, but lunch, things get real. Cornish game hen, or you can choose barbecued tofu. You get mac and cheese, and you get spinach, cranberry sauce, and a holiday dessert. I think the holiday dessert is TBA, but I can't wait to hear what holiday dessert means. For dinner, it is a lot less celebratory on Christmas. Like, a lot. Such a letdown. 2 peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, potato chips, and fruit. That's Christmas dinner. I want to bring in 2 people who know a heck of a lot about what goes on inside MDC Brooklyn and how things change up during the holidays, because they've done some time there, and they know it. Gene Borello is a former mob enforcer who served time in 4 North. That is the unit where Luigi Mangione is about to be moved and where P. Diddy's getting comfy. And Michael Franzese is a former capo for the Colombo crime family who also served time in MDC. And these 2 fellers are friends together and hopefully new friends of mine. It's good to have you both. Thank you so much for doing the Christmas show with me. I really appreciate it. I'm going to start with you, Gene. What are the holidays like in 4 North at MDC?
That menu you just read off, they make it sound so good. That's not what it is. But I mean, you do get a decent meal. But for the most part, they give you everything during lunch, and then you get a bag dinner usually. So you'll get a good meal at like 1, 2 o'clock, and then staff will be short usually, and you'll get a bag dinner, and it'll be like a sandwich.
Makes
or something.
sense, because I'm thinking all the staff, they want to go. They want to go home and be with their families, so they bag up the lunches and make it, I get it.
Yeah.
Do they get to eat together? Is there, like is the dining sitch any different? It's certainly not going to be candelabras and flame, but what does it look like?
Well, a lot of people don't even eat at the table. They usually take their food back to their locker area. And it depends. You can sit down if you want, but usually nobody does. They'll just go back to by their bed with their food or save it for later.
Even for the holidays, no celebration, no toasts, no nothing?
Just a regular day in there. It's nothing, nobody's celebrating.
Not much to celebrate, I guess. Okay, Michael, what about gifts? I understand that it ain't the same, but is there any kind of gift culture during the holidays?
No, I mean, you're not allowed to bring anything in. People can't send anything in. The only thing they can send is a card or a letter or money in your commissary. That's it. And the inmates don't exchange anything. We have nothing to exchange, So it's, holidays, especially Christmas, it's a little bit more, I guess, depressing because everybody's thinking of their families, what their families are doing. So it's it's very serene in there, I would say, during the holidays, especially Christmas.
I mean, that makes sense. It's a bummer, though, that they don't just try to gin up something. I always think about soldiers and how crappy it is for them, and they try to make the best of a really lousy situation. I almost imagine that the prisoners would do that. But the prisons, Michael, do something in terms of like a goodie bag, don't they?
No, I don't remember.
No.
I did 8
No.
years. I don't ever remember getting anything, It's like I said. And
They're
like
lying to
Gene
you.
said, the staff is usually a little bit less on Christmas. So, most of them are looking to go home or, just get off of their shift. And like I said, guys are just sitting around and, thinking about, what their families are doing. That's about it. So there's nothing special whatsoever. Maybe that little better meal at lunch. But I can't even talk about that being better. It is what it is every single day.
Oh, bummer. Well, there's that menu again. And coming up a little later on the show, there's a former inmate who's now prison consultant who's going to talk about one of the goodie bags that he got over the holidays and the contents therein. And I was pretty interested by that. Gene, let me ask you about the Luigi groupies. I'm so amazed at 140 messages. And all I could think about was like, what do you get? First of all, when you're in solitary to start with, do you get any of the mail? Do you get any of the messages? Or is that all for later when you're out of solitary?
No, you get your mail in solitary. I did many months in solitary confinement. You do get your mail. He most likely can have a bunkie in solitary, I believe, as well. If he's going to Fort North, they usually won't give him a bunkie, but if he's not, he can have a bunkie usually, which that makes it a lot harder. You do get mail, absolutely. They print it out for you. You don't get the actual physical mail. They make copies of it, and you get a print of it, like a copy of it.
Oh, you don't get the actual letter that. So if somebody sends a perfumed letter,
No.
you're not getting it.
No, you get
That-
they copy, they print it to you. Yeah. Hmm.
Okay, so that kind of answers my next question, Jean, and that is, look, I looked at some of the Instagrams and TikToks of ladies who were sending mail to Luigi, and they were showing bits of it, and I kept wondering, well, how many of them are going to send in nudies? What happens with the vetting of the mail? That I'm imagining that does not make it to the inmate.
That will not go in. The nudes will not be allowed in. No, absolutely not. Yeah. If they're selling naked, if they can send lingerie, if they send anything with being completely naked, they will not go in the facility. No.
Wow, all right, lingerie, that's interesting. Okay, Michael, the perp walk that we saw today in the New York court, this long walk down the hall towards all the cameras. I'm gonna get that up on the screen because as I watched this, well, I noticed how slow they walk, but then I also kept thinking about what is Luigi's thinking at this spot? Like, obviously, we can't see what he's seeing, but our perspective is this is where all the cameras are. You've done this before. You have walked this perp walk before. What goes through your mind, and what do you try to look at?
You know, really nothing. I mean, there's some guys that try to hide their face, but they know who we are. There's no, that looks silly to me. I mean, you're just walking. To me, I did it a couple of times because I had some big racketeering cases with, major arrests, and they wanted to make a show of it. So you're not really thinking of anything. You're looking at the cameras, just waiting to get into the courtroom and get this over with, basically, hear what's going on. So to me, it really didn't bother me, at all. It's just part of the deal. But like I said, some people don't like it. I don't know. This Mangione is a funny guy. He might be enjoying it, getting all the attention that he's getting right now.
I'm going to ask our director just to put that video up full because I tell you what, I'm obsessed with this. I was looking at his face, trying to figure out if he's embarrassed, trying to see if he's got his chin up high, trying to look cool, tough, trying to look obstinate, or just trying to get out of that hallway. I couldn't make out what it was, but you can just see him kind of taking an extra breath because he is looking at a phalanx of cameras, video, photographers, flashbulbs start going off as he gets closer. And I just wondered what it would be like to try to cope with that kind of attention right up in your grill. Guys, thank you. Can't tell you how much I appreciate you taking the time during the holidays. Jean Borrello and Michael Francis. Well, I hope you'll come back again, will you?
Yes,
Well,
absolutely.
Gene, Merry Christmas, my friend. Have a good one.
Merry Christmas, Mike. Yes,
Hey.
you too.
And thank
And
you.
Merry Christmas to both of you and your families.
Yes.
So appreciate this.
Thank
I
you.
have to take a quick break, folks, but I don't want you to go anywhere at this point.